With the big Jeju Island raid event coming to Solo Leveling Rise, there are a few things that you guys need to make sure you're completing in advance of that. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe, as well as support the channel if you haven't already through the link down below in the description if you guys want to get free rewards like Essence Stones, etc. So a couple of things I want to kind of mention to you. Obviously, complete your dailies, all that stuff if you need to do that. Guild Boss, I think, also will be gone as of today. This isn't the most crazy, okay, a couple days, not the craziest thing here, or a couple days, because yeah, okay, so the update will be in a couple days. All right, so not the craziest thing with that, but what I will say is apparently, according to Alpha Leaker, the story stages are going to be a requirement. So we've got some information as it pertains to the job change as well for Jinu. So we're going to start off by talking about that. But again, huge shout out to Alpha Leaker. Does not leak stuff very often, but every now and again he'll reply to somebody or something like that. And so there's a new job change coming for Sung Jinu, and you'll need to complete chapter 23 of the story mode. It's just going to be on normal difficulty. So chapter 23 of normal difficulty, which is have I complete hidden chapters? Where the hell? 20.5? What? Huh. Okay, so I guess, oh, I'm stupid. I'm stupid. Okay, so the update will add chapters through 23, I'm guessing is what's going to happen there. So in order to unlock the job change, you will need to complete that. Next, you will need to clear Battlefield of Trials floor 40 and 150k power on Sung Jinu. That is not the hardest thing to do. It rhymed, I know. That's one of the hardest things to do. It's pretty easy to do if you're struggling with that. Above all else, there's a lot of different tips I could give you, but if you just want to put on an 8-piece set of like curse or something like that, that works, right? That'll get the job done. So that'll unlock the new job change for you. Now, in that process, like I just mentioned, you will be taking on the new chapters, in which throughout that you will obviously fight the boss BERU, and BERU apparently is going to be weak to fire. Yeah, fire. That's pretty interesting. So let's talk about that a little bit here. But again, once again, make sure you subscribe. Also, if you're interested in the rewards that I can give you guys, do support to the link down below in the description if you're not already supporting another creator. If you're not, then you're kind of just missing out on rewards. You're not really doing yourself any service if you're not supporting anybody. Anyway, so fire, what do we have here? So first things first, quick disclaimer, there are going to be universal characters you can kind of plug in if you just want to get some of their bonuses, like Thomas Andre or like Min. Like, there are obviously those universal characters you can plug in if you want that, but really with fire, there's still not a ton of characters. I've quietly been waiting for the fire meta to really pick up. It hasn't still happened. They've toyed with it a little bit, you know, dropped Yu Soo-hyun, buffed the other characters, dropped what's her name there, the support chick, Jean. I was gonna say Sonya for some reason, dropped her as well, but they have not really gone all in. But she's pretty awesome. You can use her in your team if you want to. For her, I haven't used her a ton because I don't really need to, because I'm still kind of waiting on that meta change and all, but I really do like the interruption she puts here. It's so fun, man. HP equal to 2% of Gina's attack is restored to all team members as well, and all team members' power gauges are charged by 2% every 3 seconds. Love that as well. So she's an awesome support character to plug in. You could throw I wouldn't use Choi. You could do that if you want to for the defense decrease, but you don't necessarily need that. The burn could be okay, but you don't necessarily need that. I probably would just default back to using Emma Laurent. She's the one I like to use the most. I like when she puts emissions on the entire team. Pretty nice. Also, the break is nice, so obviously she's the one that I typically will gravitate back to. Where it gets more interesting and more fun is when we talk about the weapons on Sung Jinu, of course. But actually, you know, let's talk about some of the runes here, because there are a few really good fire runes I like to use. Now, quick disclaimer on this too. You don't really got to use fire runes if you don't really want to. For the most part, you can get away with like one and then call it with that or whatever else you want to do. But quick honorable mention here, or not honorable mention. This is one of the best ones in the game. The fire rune for armor break here with the almighty break on it, the critical hit damage up. I love this. It hits like a freaking truck too if you set up as well. Down here, I also like this. You may or may not have this collapse, but it's a pretty fun one as well. And these are pretty easy because if you've got them, they don't really they're just QTEs. They're not like something extra. I will personally go double break. That's what I typically do. So I'll put this in. But there are some other really good fire runes throughout the game. There's a lot of them in here. Magnifying slashes, or sonic stream, I should say. Fire rune as well is good there. And you saw me initially on the cutting rush one. I like this one because it increases your critical hit rate. That's my favorite one of my favorite bonuses in the game. And you can kind of just find fire all over the place. The dagger toss one I think was pretty all right too, with the burn damage in there. Vertical arts, another one that's really, no, where's vertical arts? Vertical arts fire, another one that I really like for the damage. It can do good damage there. Multi-strike fire, I wouldn't use multi-strike. This is cutting rush. This was what? This was not cutting rush, whatever. Double slash, there it is. This one's just one that doesn't really have any typings on it, and that's mostly all of them, I think. Oh, this one's cool because it has extra damage too. But again, you know, I may use this as a legendary because it's legendary. It's gonna hit pretty hard and extra damage out there, but for the most part you guys shouldn't really be worrying all too much about that. But like I was saying, I wanted to talk about the weapons because that's where this kind of gets kind of interesting. So for the weapons for Sung Jinu, there are not a lot of fire options. So quick disclaimer on this, you can mostly use whatever you want. I know it's kind of weird. You can mostly use whatever you want and you'll be okay. Will you have to retry something? Will that be the case? Potentially. Like, you may have to try it a few times depending on how strong your characters, your team, all that stuff, right? That it goes without saying. You can use the free weapons, you can use SRs, you can get the job done. Phoenix Soul is the de facto best fire weapon in the game. That's pretty self-explanatory. This thing blows up any content that's weak to fire, so obviously you want to use Phoenix Soul if you can. I actually, you know, when they put out like Ice Queen Beste, I think her name is, I'm not good at the names. I did not have the Phoenix weapon, and I used Vulcan's Rage like not like exclusively, but religiously is the word. And Vulcan's Rage was always talked about as being really, really bad, and I don't think it's been buffed. I've been a little bit busy over the last couple of months. I don't think it's been buffed. So assuming that it has not been buffed, that obviously is still the perception of the weapon. I don't think it's been buffed. It looks the same. So anyways, with that being the case, yeah, it's probably not been buffed. With that being the case, I mean, it's nothing crazy, but I do like this weapon a little bit more. But obviously that is dependent on you having it fully invested in and duped up and stuff like that. Now, here's a quick disclaimer also. There's a lot of disclaimers in this video, apparently. If it hasn't been buffed, there's a chance it gets buffed in this update. I didn't see a news post, so maybe that's already been announced, but there's a chance it gets buffed in this update if it hasn't already been buffed. So keep that in mind, that may make your investment more worth it. Also, again, you can use the Juicy Grilled Skewers. It's a fun one to use. I never really invested much into it, but and conceptually, it's a pretty fun one. But one thing that I have used a ton is the Orb of Avarice. If you're a new player or a budget player, I mean, if you're new to the game, this probably doesn't mean all too much to you because you're probably not 23 yet. Like, you've had to have played a certain amount of time just to get the levels on. But Orb of Avarice, one that I've got a ton of use out of as a really, really strong fire weapon, especially in conjunction with some of the other fire boosting that you can have through weapons, runes, skills, blah, blah, blah. I like this one a lot. So that's mostly everything. I've toyed with the idea of using Dragon Scale Broadsword. Some of these, I'm going to be honest, some of these SRs that are in here, the Night Killer, some of these SRs that are in here are actually really like interesting to me. I just have never really had the resources. I'm just now at a point where I'm like kind of sitting on gold, which is weird because that was such a huge problem for so long. And it's not like I'm spending a lot of money on the game. I don't. But I'm just now getting to that point, but I'm still not at that point with like any other resource. And since that's the case, I can't really justify investing in those SR weapons more, but I would like to. I would really, really like to. Another thing too that I wanted to kind of talk about is, like I mentioned earlier, completing your objectives, your dailies, and all that stuff. That goes without saying. But just a quick reminder on the current ongoing events. These will all be leaving. Literally everything here will be leaving when that expires and when the update takes place. So 2 days, if you wanted to do anything, hunter skill resets, artifact modifications, you need to get all of this done. All these will be leaving, so that's something to consider too. Basically we're in that grind period right before the update. I think there will also be a new battle pass if you wanted to complete or purchase this one here. Is this one with the costume on it? Yeah, the one with the costume on it for Gina. She looks pretty cool in this. She looks pretty cool. And before that's not Gina, I'm getting her confused. But that's mostly everything. So again, BERU. You're going to need to be able to complete the entirety of the story chapters, of course. And then also, once you've done that, I assume that will unlock the condition to unlock him as a shadow, which will be pretty awesome. And you can go from there. And make sure that you're sitting on your traces of shadows, because you may need them. I mean, you will need them to unlock him, of course, but maybe because BERU is a character that you like a lot, you're going to go ahead and invest a ton in him. Or maybe because he's just got a super good shadows authority, you're going to want to spike him up as much as possible. That could be the case as well. These basically, I have a separate video where I explain how to get those, but they're pretty easy. The only thing that's not mentioned in that other video is like the guild exchange shop. I believe they're in the guild exchange shop, but they're pretty easy to come by. You just kind of got to be patient with it, but make sure you're not spending those. Make sure you're stacking those up, because BERU will be coming out. And also, like I said, chapter 23, Battlefield of Time, 40 and then 150k power on Sung, like I mentioned earlier. Actually, where's my Sung at? He's probably closer to 200. I think he's close to 200, like around there. 212. I mean, he can go higher than that if I change the weapons around, but 212. So not the craziest thing. All right, guys, hope you all enjoyed. And if you want to see that video where I talk about the traces, that video should be on the screen right now, and I'll see you over there.